Hi everyone, my name is Eleanor. My story will be about relationships, specifically about my boyfriend's attitude towards me. I understand that there are cases where your other half disrespects you, belittles you, but the thing is, I want to share this story to show girls something very important, and it's going to be through example. Are you ready to listen? Then, let's go. My boyfriend's name is Nolan, and he's an athlete, a track and field athlete. Nolan has always dreamed of sports and tried his best to involve me in his frantic schedule. But I've never liked sports, not since I was a little girl. I was last on all fronts, and when it came to running, I was the last one to run at all. Nolan was ashamed of that, but what could I do about it if I wasn't really interested in it? Still, we'd been together since high school. Nolan was loved by my parents for his healthy lifestyle, and they always said he was an excellent candidate as a potential suitor. Maybe Nolan thought so too, but I had my doubts. Once, Nolan was invited to participate in a major race. Of course he said yes. He was always yammering on about the event, and he told me that he was going to be the first runner. No, don't think about it. I was happy for him, but not quite sincerely. You know, it's not the first year we're together, and I realize that all this sport, prizes, and first places don't mean that much to him. He did it all for the show, just to show everyone around him, and me, how he was the best, the fastest, the strongest, and the most athletic. I was sick of vanity. Anyway, he signed me up for this race for some reason. He decided to drag me into sport, without even asking me if I wanted to do it. Maybe I had a bad leg or a stomachache, or maybe I just didn't want to do it, but he thought it was a cool idea. Just imagine, we'll get there first, a bunch of journalists will be there, they'll take pictures of us, ask questions, and we'll finally become a celebrity couple. It's so cool. It's cool for you. I don't really want that. Are you kidding? All girls dream about it. So, did you ask every single girl? No, but I'm sure they do. Why can't you just give it a try for me? I do everything for you. For you? Are you serious? Nolan, for your sake, I stopped talking to all my friends because you thought they were a bad influence on me. For you, I eat these crappy vegetables and gave up meat and butter and soda. Just because you're embarrassed that an athlete has a fat girlfriend. For you, Nolan, I stayed in this town and didn't go to college, just so you could have a career as a soccer player with a stable relationship. That's a plus for your reputation, right? For your sake, Nolan, I went and watched every Usain Bolt race on TV. I know more about him than I know about myself. Do you know anything about me? Come on, Ella. You're getting all emotional. Let's chill out. Just participate with me. It's important to me. You say it's that important? All right, fine. I agreed to take part in this race, but not because he asked me to, but because I had my own plans. The race was supposed to take place in a couple of weeks. By the way, just to be clear, I am a fit girl. I don't have abs or beefy muscles, but I am skinny. And no, it's not about diet, it's just my genes. However, I had come up with something to test my boyfriend to prove to him that I was right. A couple of days after the fight, Nolan and I went for a walk before bed, and I asked him if he was getting ready for the run. Of course. I'm always ready, you know that, but I'm still getting ready for it. Ah, good for you. And what do you think? Will you be able to run at the same level as me? I don't think so. But you promised you'd do it for us. I promised to participate, not to win. Nolan, tell me, if we'll be the first, how do you imagine that moment to go? It'll be cool. Everybody will admire me. I'm so good that I managed to persuade my girlfriend. I've got such a girl with a normal figure. And what if I become fat? Would you still love me then? Well, that won't happen. You have good genes. So what? Well, I suppose so. Well, I guess I just wouldn't let that happen. And that's what Nolan was all about. Appearances and exorbitant egos were all he had. Despite the many years of our relationship, he hadn't changed a bit, except for the worse. I pretended to be fine, but when it was almost time for the race, a week in advance, I told Nolan that I wasn't going out, that I wanted to get some sleep before the big event. However, I didn't stay home that night. I went to a master who worked magic on me half the night. I found a makeup artist on the internet. It was not cheap, but it would be worth it. So I was purposely a little late so that everyone would be in attendance. Nolan was nervously calling me, texting me, and I climbed out of the cab in super short shorts, a t-shirt, with my ponytail gathered, and was almost across the street, shouting, "Sweetheart, I'm here!" You should have seen Nolan's face. I was walking right up to him, and he was standing surrounded by the press. Everyone turned in my direction, but I was different, with sides, cellulite, and fat on my legs, arms, and belly. I even had a second chin done, and everything looked so natural that I would have believed it was the real me myself. I walked over and defiantly kissed him on the lips, and then said hello to the reporters.
Baby, are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine. I got a good night's sleep, so I'm ready to run. I'm just gonna grab a bite to eat. I took a greasy burger and a soda out of my bag and started eating in front of the camera and my boyfriend. I could see him tense up, but I was enjoying it. Nolan took me by the hand, tossed away my fatty food, and then asked what I'd been doing all week. Making a guilty face, I just said that I was really worried about the attention at the race, so I started eating.
But how dare you? You know how important this is to me, don't you?
What's important?
That you should be beautiful, not ugly.
You said you didn't love me because of my weight, so you were lying?
What does it matter now? Everyone will look at me because of you. You are supposed to be beautiful here, not like this.
Nolan, but I'm still the same Eleanor, aren't I? I didn't promise to win, I just agreed to participate. So what does it matter what people say?
You don't understand. That's it. I'm running. You do what you want.
Nolan started pulling away, and I yelled back at him that I knew he was like this, that he didn't love me one bit the whole time. He was just comfortable being with me, but I wasn't allowed to get better because I was ruining his image. To which Nolan freaked out and said to me, "It's over, Eleanor. You're too ugly for me." To be honest, that's exactly what I realized a long time ago. But still, to hear that from your boyfriend that you've spent years with, it's very hurtful. He did it in public, not hiding from the press. Journalists flew up to me with questions. I just shrugged and said that our athlete just showed his true face. That's all. When the race began, I blended into the crowd. We ran a long distance. To be honest, it was terribly difficult for me, but I wasted no time. All this time, I'd practiced running in secret from Nolan. Several times a day, I challenged the kilometers. For this, I even went into the mountains so that there were obstacles. 1.5 weeks of training was not enough, but I tried hard, all to teach Nolan a lesson. There turned out to be a lot of amateurs at the race itself, and on the last stage, I had a terrible time breaking into the top 3. By this time, I had time to change my clothes on the way, take off my camouflage in the form of false fats, and turn into myself, a slim Eleanor. A few meters ahead of me, Nolan was running relaxed and wearing headphones. He must have been pretty upset about his bad day, so he wasn't even paying attention to me. I caught up with him and proudly accelerated. After a few more seconds, yes! We ran in together, shoulder to shoulder, just like he wanted. Noah was stunned by my appearance. The reporters immediately flew over to him and started asking what's up with me and why I did that. But I answered the question myself. Nolan only cares about his interests, and I don't need to be with a guy like that. Goodbye, Nolan. And with those words, I walked out of there. The first thing I did was order myself a burger at the diner and enjoy it with a feeling of total freedom. Tell me, have you ever been in a relationship like this? What would you have done if you were me? Hello, everyone. My name is Lena. I know. Now you will hear the story of my weight loss and may even be jealous in some ways. But I will tell you honestly, miracles happen and I am an example of that. And the miracle was laid out inside me from the beginning. and it helped me to lose 90 kilograms without dieting. Now I will tell you everything in more detail, and you write your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and watch further. Tell me, friend, have you ever seen a child who weighs under 100 kilograms at the age of 9? Can this be happening? Yes, it can. From the very beginning, when I was born, I lived with my parents. Like all dads and mothers, they limited my daily diet to sweets, junk food, flour products. They carefully monitored my diet and tried to eat right themselves. There were a lot of things I didn't like to eat, including nasty broccoli, but there was no way out. And then my parents were forced to leave for work in another country. As you can imagine, they could not take me with them because I was too young. There was definitely no one there to look after me, so I was left in the care of my grandmother. My grandmother was kind. She loved her only granddaughter, but even more, she loved to watch her eat. For her, it was like a trigger. Then her nerves instantly calmed down. The day I moved in with her was a turning point in my life. From the very early morning, my grandmother rustled in the kitchen. She was always preparing something for me to eat. For breakfast, I was already waiting for soup, cutlets, and a pie for tea. She would not let me leave the table until I had eaten every last crumb. And it was the same for tea, lunch, and dinner. And then after dinner, we would drink tea with something sweet. So imperceptibly, a month passed. Then 6 months, 2, 3, my parents could not come in anyway. We just talked to them on the phone, and that's it. I understood that they had a job there. They were trying to earn money. Even so, I missed them. But it was nice to be with my grandmother, too. My grandmother had a lot of funny neighbors nearby. There were a lot of kids with whom I played every now and then. We especially liked to catch up with each other. The game of tag was very energizing. But it was in that year, when I ran only 5 meters and realized that I was terribly sweaty, tired, and could not catch my breath, that something happened in my body. I went into my room, took out my jeans, and realized that I couldn't fit into them. And not only them, my t-shirts, dresses, everything became too small. I started crying, and my grandmother said it wasn't me, it was the clothes. Sit down, I'll sew them for you. And she made them bigger. Then I clearly saw with horror how big I had become. 6 months later, my mother arrived. When I opened the door, she said, "Excuse me, does Mrs. Harris live here?" And I said, "Mom, don't you recognize me?" Because of the extra weight, it was difficult for me to show any emotions. I just waved my hand and my mother fainted. When she woke up, the first thing she said was, "Mom, what did you do to her?" My grandmother was indignant that she took good care of me and scolded my mother for not liking something. "You disappeared with your husband for several years, and then you show me that I did not look after the child well?" In general, it was a long quarrel. The meeting turned out to be quite different from what I had imagined. I thought it would be joyful, but it turned out to be different. My mother packed my things and took me home. She said that my father would not be coming soon, but that she would stay with me for the time being. First of all, my mother put me on a diet. Again, broccoli, lots of water, and other vegetables. And I was already so used to unhealthy, fatty foods that the vegetables seemed tasteless. And you know what the most offensive thing is? I sat on such a diet for 3 months and gained even more weight. Then I changed diets and gained another 10 kilograms on top. My eyes were no longer visible, but instead there were 2 thin stripes. It was terrible. I didn't even really eat anything, but I was getting bigger and bigger. Eventually, it got to the point where I was wearing my mother's clothes, and they were even too small for me in some places. I knew my body looked creepy, but what else could I do? I tried and did, and it just got worse. I'm not talking about the tantrums, the tears, and the stress I was going through. Every morning, I woke up, silently cursing everything in the world. And the more time passed, the more weight I gained, and the more exhausting my mother's diets became. It got to the point where I was almost sitting just drinking water. Can you imagine? In general, then my mother took me to the gym, but even there I was refused. They demanded that my mother give me a full medical examination because they had never seen a girl my age so fat. They probably thought I was sick or something and were afraid to take the risk. What if she died while training? Then my mother took me to a nutritionist. She was a very calm, kind woman. She looked at me as if she didn't see anything surprising. She said that everything would be fine and asked me to come closer. I closed my eyes and she slowly examined me all over and then asked me to sit down while she studied the tests. The nutritionist asked my mother a lot of questions about me, how we lived, what I ate, what music I listened to, and so on. My mother was even outraged. Why the stupid questions? To which the doctor replied that I put on weight because of my mother's lack of attention and closeness, not because of my grandmother's food. What? She asked. She could not believe what she had heard, and the doctor explained that when she left me, I became very worried, although I did not fully realize it myself. My body was under constant stress, thought there was a danger, and turned any food I ate into calories. Then my mom came and put me on a diet, and my body took it as a double dose of stress. All you need to do is give your child love and care and be there for them, the doctor said. My mother was dumbfounded, and we left the hospital in confusion. That same day, Mom made steaks, and for the first time in years, we sat and talked and laughed. After 8 months, we came back to my grandmother's. I knocked, and she opened the door and asked, "What do you want?" She didn't recognize me, and all because I managed to lose 90 kilograms. Can you imagine? We came to her with an apology. My mother wanted to talk to her and ask for her forgiveness. Now I became slim while eating everything in a row and did not exercise. That's what a simple mother's love can do.